I think there's a lot of empathy, physical empathy, I guess you would call it, identification with the female figure when I'm drawing grace and awkwardness and repose and tension and all the different things when you look at a model and you feel whatever that gesture is in their body. And, you just viscerally understand it.
Doing life drawing is like a musician doing scales. You get your creative energy going, and it's just this incredible warm up to go on and do other art. And I think it's absolutely critical. I think it's a really important aspect of having an art practice is to engage in life drawing. There is this mysterious alchemy that happens, and everybody feels it. Like when we would be doing drawing, the room would get kind of quiet, and everybody was like getting in the zone of this transformative experience with drawing the model.
So it's exciting, and I think the figure draw, I think they're entirely related to each other for me in terms of not only the training to do it. You don't have time to think or overthink. You just have to keep your hand moving. And then there's a feeling of vitality for me in doing that. It's single-pointed concentration.
I think I would have almost completely quit doing art over the years because of family responsibilities, which included caring for 4 elderly relatives. Their health declined all at the same time, and they were very close to me and here in town. So that was a time I would have just stopped doing art. And then I've been busy with grandchildren and other obligations in a way that would have prevented me from doing art. But because I had the Pattee Canyon group to go to and shows to prepare for, I just went for it and did art. And otherwise, I think I would have done nothing.
I certainly had the sense that those women were feminists, and I certainly identified as a feminist myself. I'm like a bit of a voluptuous person, and I was then too. And I remember at one point someone saying, like, don't ever, ever be ashamed of your body. And I was like, I'm not.
I feel like by drawing the female body and using the female body, usually clothed, sometimes unclothed, in my art for such a long time, in so many different series, it's putting that out into the universe as opposed to images of women that have been produced predominantly by men. And in fact, oftentimes by men that had sexual relationships with their models, which is a whole different thing. So it's hard for me not to say that the art produced by the men, although some of it is incredibly beautiful, there's an objectification, or there's looking at it like the physical beauty of the person, not the internal integrity of the female experience.
I am truly devoted to representing girls and women as agents in the world. I don't want them to appear passive. Even if they're in a still moment, I want it to portray cognition and awareness. And so whatever I can draw from the life model or from the photographic references I use, or as I invent figures, whatever I can bring together to create a sense of an individual psychology and someone who's capable of moving and acting on their world has value to me. And I think it has value to me not just in terms of what my artistic aspirations are, but what my aspirations for women in society are. I don't want the girls and women in my work to become merely objects of beauty. I don't want them to be decorative. I want them to be the movers and shakers and to be recognized as that, even if they are also beautiful in some way.
Look at Greek art, ceramics. They use the figure extensively. So I tried to do figures that were not necessarily considered the ideal figure of the day, but they were goddess figures. They were too heavy, their hips were too big, or whatever. And so I probably wouldn't have done that without being part of the group. But I really enjoyed working with the idea of goddess images and the archetypes of goddesses. One of my ulterior, I wouldn't say motives, but motivator is that I grew up in a culture where spirituality and sensuality were separated. And that spirituality was definitely the superior function, that sensuality was just what got you in trouble. And I think I've spent most of my life trying to heal that split and say they are not separate.
I went to art school and drew from the figure a lot then, but it was just such a non-academic atmosphere at Nancy's studio that it was just like, oh, this is comfortable. I can be myself. It's not about a critique. It's really about exploring and drawing and not about grades or measuring up or any of that.
At Nancy's studio, it felt like a sisterhood. All of us being women, it just was very comfortable, very natural, and just wonderful camaraderie and just an understanding between all of us that it was, a safe place.
I felt really lucky to be at Nancy's. I loved Nancy, still love her. She's such a unique, vibrant, loving, and accepting person, inclusive too. I felt very welcomed by her. I wasn't well known as an artist in the way that Nancy and a couple of the other women are, but I learned from them.
The group of women are super important to me, and the friendships that have come out of that group. And there's something incredible that happens when you have people doing something that they love together in a group, and conversation flows very naturally. So you're not just having coffee, or you're not on a one-on-one where it's like therapy or something. It's like you talk about your problems and your issues.
You walk in the very first day, the figure drawing group begins with a nude model. What are your thoughts?
That I'm glad to be there with all of those women, that I'd be happy if it was a bowl of fruit or a dog or drawing whatever was out the window. It wouldn't have mattered. It was the company of really nice people.
It became a part of her life. She's an incredibly focused person. When she is in the midst of doing a drawing or doing a quilt or a painting, she's there. She's in the moment. And the drawing group gave her the possibility of some in-the-moment moments that were different because it had to do with all the people around her, as well as that hand, which is part of that drawing. And she loved everybody in the group. And not just personally, but she loved them because they loved to do drawing.
I honestly feel like there has been a gift of moral support and solidarity that has probably been of highest value to me for my participation in Pattee Canyon Ladies Salon. I work alone, and so to have these regular meetings, yes, they provide the opportunity to draw the figure, which I value, but to know that there is a common cause among us, as well as, frankly, a shared consciousness about politics, the environment, our community, and so on.
I have described her and Patricia Forsberg together as my fairy godmothers. I was literally a starving student when I started modeling for them, and I don't think it was too hard to tell what my situation was. And the amount that they paid me was more than the university would pay me. So I lived off of that money because we would usually meet about once a week. And they would feed me, not in any kind of like, here's your soup and bread type of way, but they would always have treats and snacks and wine and things that I never got. And they became mentors.
It felt very safe, that I felt very just comfortable in that situation. The women were all there to do their work, and their work was important to them to do, and that felt really good, helping to provide that, again, object for them to learn and work with and develop their skills. That intent on their part, I think, was very important to the experience of it, that it was important to them to do the work in so many different ways. I know that I'll really miss Nancy, as everyone will.
I've developed some very strong friendships out of the group, and it's kind of like you're all on a boat together. Some people are manning the rudder, and some people have the sails, and some people are eating lunch, and and somebody's watching for the horizon. But it's good. It works.
The power of life drawing, there is a mystery to it. There's an energy that's created between the artist and the model. It's unlike drawing other things. It's unlike drawing in nature or really anything else, because that interaction with the model is so powerful and important.
I think the input from models is really impactful every time we're there. The energy that the model brings in, emotions are contagious, so whatever they come in with, the group either absorbs and supports, or they influence us. And I think all of the models but one have been really a positive experience for me. Really nurturing from the model, intelligent, a sense of freedom, never any discomfort, always really open and thoughtful.
I felt a level of pride for having been involved in the creation of that work of art. And I felt a special sense of, I was in the room when this happened, obviously, but I was with that person, and I have a relationship with this person. And it was a very simple and easy and trusting relationship with that person.
It's been an amazing experience. They are some powerful people, and they are amazing artists and amazing community members. It was an eye-opening experience for me to understand that I could be anything I wanted to be, and to see these women who are all strong and capable and full of ideas and able to just be themselves. They were able to be themselves and able to communicate who they were and who they wanted to be and why, which is definitely something that was very far from where I was raised.